I'm joined in studio by founder and president of Launch Street, Tamara Ghandour, whose company helps organizations create a culture of innovation that outperforms the competition. When companies like Disney, General Mills, and Red Robin want to up their innovation, they call her. Tamara, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Alex.
Not at all. So we heard a little bit from Joe about the cultural transformation that's happening at Microsoft. Tell me a little bit about yourself and what you see in the clients that you work with as far as cultural transformation is occurring.
So let me start with why people pick up the phone and call us, because I think that'll really resonate with those watching and listening. So we hear a lot of things. One is they're struggling because their culture is stuck in how business used to be. So they're having a hard time adapting to the changing marketplace. Or they're frustrated because they have all these A players, but they don't have that innovation glue that helps them collaborate and achieve their goals, let alone that breakthrough innovation you were just talking about. So that's where Launch Street comes in. We help our clients compete and win by tapping the power of innovation inside their organization.
What do you think is different about the challenges that are facing companies today? Because you mentioned challenges in terms of, hey, you've got some A players or they feel like their culture is stagnated. I would imagine companies would have said the same thing a decade ago or 2 decades ago. What do you think is different today?
I actually think there's two things going on right now. One is, it's not that change is new. To your point, we've been dealing with change for a long time. The rate of that change is so accelerated compared to what it used to. It's coming to market faster and faster than before. And then I think internally, there's a war on talent. There are some amazing companies and amazing talent out there. So if we're not building cultures where people want to work, they're going to bounce and go somewhere else. So you've got these like internal and external pressures coming to you at an accelerated pace.
Now, I'm interested in the assessment of people's skills, how you've tried to quantify that and how you do that.
We do that really with two main tools. So one is our proprietary innovation assessment. That's the Innovation Quotient Edge. And that helps people understand, really discover how they innovate so that they can perform at their peak and contribute and be higher value. And then the second one is our Innovation on Demand, which is our online tool. So access to the tools you need 24/7 so that you can make innovation tangible and part of everything that you do. So we're really fortunate to go along this kind of transformative ride with our clients.
Tell me a little bit about how it helps teams be more innovative.
Yeah, so let's start with the individual because it really starts there and then ladders to the team. So I used to believe, like I think a lot of us out there do, that in order to be innovative, we had to step outside our comfort zone and dare to be fearless. But what I really came to realize in my 20 years of work and research, and really what the science has shown, is that that's not true. It blew those assumptions out the window. We're all innovative. It's universal. However, how we do it is unique to each of us. So the way you innovate and the way I innovate are a little bit different. But if I know how I do it, I can come to the table with my best self and my most innovative self, and you can do the same thing. So here's where the magic happens for teams, which is kind of part of your question. So we come together, we know how we innovate separately. As a team, it actually elevates everybody's performance. A couple reasons. One is, now we have a common language and a common purpose. We understand each other, so we create a more inclusive behaviors around each other. That in turn creates diversity in thinking, and that really drives better ideas, because ideas that come from birds of a feather tend to fail.
So you've created Launch Street, and it's clear that there's a demand in the marketplace for this. What are the 3 things that business leaders are getting wrong when it comes to innovation, and how do they resolve these?
So the first one is they focus on rewarding outcomes, not behaviors. And they focus on the outcome regardless of the behavior that got there. I call it a culture of failure shelf or cake on Friday, because those are your 2 options, right? You're either being punished because it didn't work, or you're being celebrated because it worked. If you want to drive a culture that allows you to get through that transformation and that change, you really have to focus on the behavior. So when we as a culture actually focus on those behaviors that we want more of, we'll get what we want. When we focus on the outcome, the behavior becomes irrelevant and the culture tends to crash around it.
Okay.
So that's the first one. The second one is they tend to silo innovation. So it's this whole, hey, you 5 people over there, you get to be super innovative. Good for you.
You're the lab over there.
Yes, you get a fun t-shirt and cool workspace. And hey, the rest of you, just keep your head down, do what you're doing. And unfortunately, nothing adds more toxicity to culture than feeling unimportant.
Us versus them.
Yeah, and like you're a cog in the wheel. And I think it's funny, it actually ultimately ends up, and I see this over and over again, it ends up in a one-way tennis match where then those innovative people throw a idea off the fence and I'm like, duck and weave, I want nothing to do with that. So we've got to make innovation a part of everything. And the third one is we got to make culture something that it moves past the plaque on the wall and comes out at the annual company meeting. Because the reality is it doesn't mean anything. So if you tell me you have a culture of being fearless, but every time someone has a new idea, it gets shut down. Yeah, or open communication, but there's no process for feedback. Innovation often is defined as new products, technology. I think innovation is actually people, all of us.
Culture.
Yeah, thinking differently about what's right in front of us to create differentiated value. And if we do that, that's the trend. That's the place we want to move to.
And I think we had a link on the screen earlier on to the Innovation Edge assessment.
Yeah.
So people can go and begin to sort of quantify their own, innovation abilities and that of those around them. So Tamara, thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us.
It was absolutely wonderful. Thanks for having me.